Okay, so continuing on to my fourth template. I try to get away from the engineering stuff and the technical design stuff a bit and try to focus more on some software involved instructions. So for this, I kind of like doing lab reports. I'm weird like that, but I like just taking uh, raw data and putting it in a way that's somewhat comprehensible. Just with graphs and charts, and very trying to make it very black and white. So it's kind of one of those ways to approach writing that isn't very subjective, and I kind of like that in a way. So yeah, lab reports. But the thing about lab reports are, unless you have something to write about with lab reports, it's hard to write one because you need to usually have some kind of experiment that you've conducted and that you can reflect on. You can look at some data and you can come up with what that data means from one way to another. But you can run experiments at home on anything, I guess, like how many times your dog barks in an hour, um, well left unattended, and then try to come up with a reason for that. But I wanted to do something that's a little more scientific or a little more kind of something that you can play with. So there is a program called SolidWorks that allows you to create parts in 3D. So it's a 3D like CAD, computer aided drafting slash computer aided manufacturing program. And then it allows you, once you've made a part or uploaded a part, someone else's part, something that's already been designed, to apply force on pretty much any part of that part, and various degrees from like, so you could apply like 8,000 pounds on a little widget if you want to. And the software will show you how that force is applied, um, where the part would fail first, and it would give you a bunch of analytics about uh, factors of safety and all these kind of cool numbers that you can go through. And it'll even print out its own lab report for you, but we're not trying to cheat with this. So my idea for this template was to use SolidWorks to run different experiments. It's kind of be we would all kind of have, or within um, this package, it would have parts, and then or allow for the user later to make their own part and then apply a certain amount of force, and then they'll now have that data after the simulation is complete, and then have a template for a lab report for them to finish. That way they could pretty much continue to do lab reports ad nauseum if they really wanted to, but kind of build that skill and make sure that they're getting all those things that you need in a lab report kind of checked off, so that once they do start doing experiments in a lab, whether it's even for school or for work, uh, you know they've already done a series of lab reports and they know what's expected within that. So I just thought that was kind of a cool concept, and we'll go on to the last. All right, so my last template was basically, I was not too familiar with how to do infographics prior to the uh, tech writing, the TSID 2090 class, but it kind of forced me to learn. But I'm kind of glad it did, because you know, it is a much more appealing, for most people, way to kind of absorb information. Just throwing globs of text down. Some people might like that, but yeah, I totally understand, and I'm kind of in that population that probably wouldn't appreciate that too much. So having infographics, scattered around a report or a document makes a lot of sense. So I wanted to try to teach and then teach, kind of learn myself um, how to use a very accessible uh, program in Excel to make infographics. So Excel actually has a pretty good, and it improves every year, but a pretty good variety of infographics, starting from just graphs, and it kind of graduates from that. You can do all types like pie charts and all that, and it's just super easy to use. And you don't even really need an internet connection, because once you have Excel and you're punching numbers in, you're kind of good to go. So it's, pretty helpful for someone if they don't have like the best internet connection, or they just want a pretty basic way to do stuff, to get their graphs and their charts kind of done for whatever they're writing. Now there are online kind of like templated infograph sites that are pretty helpful, but like, it's kind of good, especially if you're to well, what I'm trying to say is, if you're already using Excel and punching numbers in Excel for whatever you're doing, then you might as well learn how to display that information or convey it visually, right? So yeah, a lot of people are just forced to use Excel, so why not use it for kill two birds with one stone. And as they're crunching those numbers and punching them into the spreadsheet, actually kind of get something visual out of it as well. So, that was my last template. I kind of ran the gamut of all types of stuff to kind of cover, but hope you enjoyed the video and hope you learned something, because I did.